All right, everybody, we're back. We got Patrick Auger, Mr. Matthew Wells, covering all the craziness of everything that happened last night at UFC Vegas 10. Let's start with the main event. We'll kind of work our way backwards here. So, you had Angela Hill versus Michelle Waterson. Michelle Waterson getting that split decision win. A lot of people had it for Hill. A lot of people had it for Waterson. I think media was split almost right down the middle, according to MMA decisions. It was a close one. It was a great fight. I absolutely loved it. Matt, what did you think there? Who do you think won, and what did you think of the fight?
Oh, I mean, what I thought of the fight was that it was a great fight. You know, it was one of those fights that you that you would hope to see in a 5-round main event between two strawweight fighters. Which strawweights they always come to bang, man. They're always in intense fights. They always go from beginning to beginning to end, just swinging. And that's really what this one was at a lot of points. Michelle would take the fight to the ground at some points. But in terms of who I had it for Angela Hill. I had her taking the first two, Michelle taking the second two, and then Angela taking the 5th round. And I know, like you mentioned, a lot of media had it the other way. Judges obviously had it split. But that's just one of those things, man. When you have these styles of fights or these styles of fighters, they make judges have tough decisions, especially when there's not going to be a finish, and it's just like real close back and forth battle like this. That's why I said after, in the media, when the decision was read, I was like, I'm not mad at whoever wins. I had it for Angela, but if you saw it for Michelle, okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was the same way. I had it slightly for Waterson. The stats had it for Hill. Again, I had it 48-47 for Waterson. I thought it was first 2 rounds went to Hill, second 2 or last 3 really went to Waterson. The 5th round was definitely very close. Stats were lined up where Hill had the striking advantage based on significant strikes over Waterson in that one. So you can't be mad if somebody scored it for Hill. Can't really be that mad if somebody scored for Waterson, especially rewatching it, everything, the way those strikes landed for Waterson, where she got off those, couple combination of kicks almost unanswered. Depending on where you're sitting as a judge, that's going to make a huge difference because it was just that close a fight. Now, obviously, there was one scorecard that got a lot of criticism, 49-46. Our own Drake Riggs here also had it for 49-46, the lone media member to think so. Is there any controversy there that one judge had it 49-46 for Waterson, you think?
I think that's an atrocious scorecard. Shout out to Drake. I think that is a terrible scorecard. I mean, I could see 48-47, and that's acceptable. To say that one fighter won 4 rounds is ridiculous. But I guess I could kind of see it, man. The 2nd round was close. It was a close round, but I thought it was still a round that Angela Hill, got the more effective striking off and was, kind of dictating where the fight was taking place there in that 2nd round. It was still a closer round, closer than the first, but, I thought for sure the 1st round was Angela's. You can't debate that. The 3rd and 4th, you can't debate that those were Michelle rounds. 2nd and 5th were those close rounds that a lot of people were kind of hung up on, even though I thought the 2nd was for Angela and the 5th was for Angela. But, again, like we said, man, there were close rounds where both were being really competitive. And one thing that I kind of noticed that Michelle started doing it towards the end of the 5th, she started doing her kias when she was throwing her strikes. A combination of trying to hype herself up, that like, hey, let's get this energy going. Let's get out this last little bit of energy and get some flurries going. And also for the judges, because when the judges hear that, that could probably sway a judge that may not really, have a decision of how this round's going. Oh, she's yelling and when she's landing her strikes, that's just one of those little things that shouldn't really sway a judge, but it kind of does sometimes if you have the right judge sitting there. So it's just one of those things, man. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think round 2 was close enough. I could see it personally. Again, I thought Hill there was enough of a clear differentiation there that I thought Hill took that round, but it was close enough. You could say somebody seen it for Waterson, and you bring up a great point about the judging and the way that Waterson, especially in round 5, was making that, the kias and the noise. A lot of people keep forgetting this. If I'm a judge sitting at cage side and I am in one of the angles where, let's say Hill is walking Waterson down and I just see Hill's back, and I see Waterson throwing something. I can't get a really good angle on if it hits or not, but I keep hearing, Kia, and I hear noises. It might sway me because I can't really have a good angle. I don't have a good angle on what's happening. And because so much of this was just, walking all over the cage and such, like, right in each other's faces, they missed some strikes that we all saw on the TV monitor. So I think that plays a very good point into how the judges probably scored it. And I think it's a great point to bring up. I also think, if you scored it 49-46 for Waterson or Hill, technically, I mean, okay. I shout out to Drake. But yeah, I disagree with that wholeheartedly.
For sure.
I mean, to wrap this up though, who should be next for Waterson and who should be next for Hill?
Man, Michelle really wants to get back in that title picture, man, but it's kind of tough right now. I mean, judging that performance against the champion and Weili Zhang, like, I think we all know how that fight would go right now. I don't think it would be close. I think actually Weili would go out there and finish her. Because there's a couple of times Angela really hurt Michelle, but she didn't exactly like capitalize on it. And that's one of the things that she needs to work on when she goes back to the drawing board, like she said, right? She needs to go in there and figure out how to put more pressure on. But for Michelle, I don't know, man. Looking at the rankings, it's Weili Zhang's got the champion, or she's the champion. Then you have Rose. Then you have Jessica Andrade and Tatiana Suarez, who's still, on the sidelines right now. It's kind of hard to pick right now. I mean, obviously you want to see her punch up because right now she's ranked 8th, and obviously you would think those rankings are going to change, this coming week. But anybody that's ranked above her, I mean, Joanna's still out there. Is Joanna still fighting anymore? Who knows, right? But I guess Jessica, if you had to, I don't know. I don't know the best fight for her. She wants a title shot, and I know that the UFC is not going to give it to her, even though she did just win one of those close main event fights. Yeah, no,
I think it's one of those things where watching that performance and watching the way Waterson has fought against, Jan Jacek, who clearly beat her, right? Like that wasn't even close. And we all kind of have the same idea of, wow, that was a great fight that Waterson put on, but against Zhang, what's that gonna do? I like Andrade. I think that makes sense given the way the rankings are. I don't know that will help her. I mean, I think if she's really like trying to go after the title, I think you've got to do Andrade next or Suarez if she's better. But I think that fight goes terribly for her too.
Exactly.
And on Hill's side, I didn't know I wanted it until they had a little bit back and forth on Twitter where Claudia Gadelha was saying that Hill would be complaining and crying about it till 2035. And Hill immediately was like, let's rematch it. Like, oh, I'm still complaining. Like, let's run that back. I think I would love to see Claudia Gadelha versus Hill too. I think that was a fight that Hill should have won. I feel like a lot of media felt that way. I'd love to run that back. What about you?
Yeah, and to quote Angela, "Rematch me, ho," is exactly what she said. She said. So let's not cut her any corners, though. She really meant it when she said it. But yeah, it's one of those fights where she's got to figure out how to capitalize on her big moments and rounds, and really drive home that, hey, I'm winning out here, or maybe even like do something more to turn up the pressure when she's got the fighter on the back foot. To like, hey, how can I go out there and maybe even drop her, like maybe even like when you have somebody hurt, you got to capitalize on it to even like search for a finish more, because landing hard shots in a combination and then backing up and resetting to the center, that is just, you're letting your opponent off the hook a lot of times. It's going to look good. It's going to sound good when the commentator's like, oh, that one hurt. And then you just kind of back off and let it reset. Got to stop doing that. Got to find a way to get out of this split decision rut, because there's a lot of fights for Angela Hill that should have gone her way, but she ended up on the wrong side for whatever reason. Judges don't like her. They like her opponents more, I guess.
I mean, I called this one in my predictions article. I called this as a split decision because both Waterson and Hill just love split decisions. But yeah, I'm with you with what Hill needs to do. I think that's a perfect fight to, get her confidence back and to really prove like, hey, I've got to change things up a little bit in order to make this decisive on the scorecards. So yeah, I think that's the way to go. And I think we could both agree that right now strawweight is by far the most stacked women's division. So we'll see what's next for both of them.
For sure. With that wild card, like we said, Tatiana Suarez just kind of sitting on the sidelines. Whenever she gets healthy, she's going to show up and just start messing up that whole order of things. But whenever that is, we don't know. I do want to say it was good, for Angela to represent the African American community, and as the first woman to headline the event, or a UFC event last night. I do have a beef with UFC though. I'm talking to somebody in production. How do you have that moment and not show her full walkout? Or Michelle's full walkout for that matter. Like, we don't need to see that B-Dubs commercial for the 50th time. Come on now.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. Out of all the walkouts not to show, seems like you could have shown that one. But no, I guess B-Dubs really, we are in a pandemic. B-Dubs really needs that money. They've been.
UFC does too, but that's history right there. Sometimes you got to show history. It's just, that's my opinion. I don't know.
100%. And yes, I think it's one of those things where, I'm not sure what they were thinking there. I'm sure somebody will get yelled at in production in retrospect, because that's a good business move for the UFC too, right? Like, why would you not show that and hype that up? I don't know, but we'll see. I'm expecting Hill to headline another card after this performance. So I would love to have them make it up to her in some form or fashion when that happens. Because I can't imagine after that type of performance, you don't want Hill, headlining a card, especially when you've got some of these other headliners that are okay. But Hill always brings action, especially in her last, 4 or 5 fights. It's been nonstop. So
100%.
I think it's bound to happen.
100%. She's definitely solidified her main card status at the very least. Like, obviously, she had an incredible fight of the night in the main event. So if she's not on main cards, co-mains, feature bouts, like, it's something wrong. There's something wrong. She deserves it.
Yes, she does.
And Michelle, too, for that matter. She put on a hell of a fight. I don't want to take anything away from Michelle. Talking about Angela a lot. Michelle still went out there and did her thing against all odds, as everybody likes to always write her off. But, man, those kicks that she throws, they're accurate, they're quick, and they score. So good on Michelle.
Yeah, no, and I really hope they rematch down the road, because I think, I think it'd be fireworks all over again. So looking forward to that rematch when it happens.
Facts.